And a performance audit report on prevention and response to gender-based violence released by Auditor General Nancy Gathungu revealed that the government is yet to set up a gender data management system to enable easy consolidation of GBV data from the various actors. This failure by the responsible State Department is among the many loopholes that exist and continue to hinder the war on gender-based violence. In our continued coverage of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, Mary Morkey tells us why the most common form of gender-based violence in the workplace is sexual harassment and why more action is needed to ensure women live free of violence and coercion.
For Belinda Auma, arriving in Kericho town from her home in Migori County was the fresh start she and her 3 children needed. She had just buried her husband and gotten disinherited by her in-laws, and she needed to quickly secure employment to support her children. The lush tree plantations represented a new dawn for her. Little did she know the pain and horrors it would brew for her. The jobs were there, but there was a price to pay, and a high one at that. She had to give her body in exchange for a position at the tea plantations. Her meager savings dwindling by the day and no one to turn to, she conceded and agreed to the demands for sex in exchange for work.
Sikuwa na raha sana kwa kufanya kazi kwa juu. Nilikuwa nimedhulumiwa mali kubwa mpaka ilibidi. Niliamua tu ili vile nitoka nyumbani nikuje Kericho kufanya kazi. So haikusaidia kitu kwa sababu nilisaidia tu kukaa permanent. Kwa rahisi niliumia ndani ya roho mpaka niliteseka mpaka nilikonda nikataka kujinyonga.
Unknown to her, it was the beginning of a life of abuse by her supervisor, who she says unfortunately infected her with HIV.
Lakini iliniletea madhara kubwa mpaka nikaathirika, nikapatikana na HIV kwa sababu nilala na timili kwa sababu nilikuwa nataka kazi, msali kufa akaniwachia watoto, nimekuja kutafuta kazi na vitu kama hiyo inasemekana ni lazima. Na hiyo kwa rahisi kuchukua hiyo dawa kuweka kwa mdomo. Hiyo kwa rahisi. Nilikuwa naenda soko nanunua sumu, nikikuja watoto wananiambia mama, so uache tu uchunge sisi uko kazi.
Her plight is replicated 250 kilometers away in Naivasha. The blooming flower farms hide an ugly reality, that of abuse and exploitation. When we meet Jackie Mora, she's at her rented house in Karagita pondering her next move. She quit her job after her line supervisor attempted to rape her.
But kuna wakati pia supervisor so mwenye alikuwa anasimamia those wao messengers wenye nilikuwa nimechukuliwa pia alikuwa amenifikisha kwa ukuta, but nilingangana juu nilikuwa nimemshinda very tight, so ndo ikanisaidia. Alikuwa anataka kuninajisi. Kuna wakati mwingine alikuwa amenipress kabisa kwa ukuta, but kuna soja alikuwa anafanya kutembea, so venye alisikia hiyo movement na akaona kama kuna mtu, then hiyo soja akanisaidia kudisappear.
This distressing incidence of workplace exploitation underscores the urgent need for heightened awareness and concrete actions to address the pervasive issue of gender-based violence in professional settings. Labor experts opine that the trauma of sexual harassment leaves a lasting effect on women's health, and women who experience sexual harassment are almost 3 times at a higher risk of developing depression symptoms.
Organizations like yourself.
Oxfam Kenya Director of Programs Blandina Bobson says it's time for these companies to compensate these women.
The recourse is for them to get justice, because clearly you can tell, from the stories they're telling that their rights are violated. Their lives have been disrupted because of, the consequences they're suffering right now. They deserve to get justice, and this is even anchored, in the ILO Convention 190, which, one of the recommendations is, to ensure that there are remedial measures, and these are some of the remedial measures, that these people are compensated for the damages that they have gone through.
The Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2022 showed that 34% of women had experienced physical violence, while 13% had experienced sexual violence. The latest performance audit report released by Auditor General Nancy Gathungu on prevention and response to GBV cited ineffective coordination of actors, fragmented data, delay in clearing cases in court as a major hindrance to the war on gender-based violence. In addition to that, many cases of GBV are not reaching the courts for prosecution.
They're not in the same, place mentally before they went through these violations. So, there's the aspect of dealing with the mental health issues that they're experiencing, but also, people who can work with them or journey with them to be able to ensure that, these issues are reported and these companies are held accountable.
Another reason for the poor prosecution rates of GBV cases is the fact that not all GBV survivors who report at the gender-based violence recovery centers are willing to pursue justice due to intimidation and threats by perpetrators and the vulnerability of the survivors due to poverty resulting in them being compromised financially. Actors have called on the State Department to fast-track monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to effectively monitor the implementation of activities towards prevention and response of GBV. Mary Moki, Citizen TV.